A Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, a human knot-making machine with a PhD in submissions, versus an Olympic wrestler, a genetic freak who can suplex a truck. No strikes, no time limit, pure grappling skills only. Who walks away when these two titans of the mat collide? Today, we dive deep into the science, history, and fight math to settle this debate once and for all. To truly appreciate the Olympic wrestlers' capabilities, we must first understand they represent the absolute pinnacle of human grappling potential. These aren't merely accomplished athletes. They're the genetic and technical elite who have survived a Darwinian selection process through years of international competition. The Olympic qualification system ensures only the most complete battle-tested wrestlers reach this level, having defeated hundreds of contenders in their journey. When we examine the biomechanics of an Olympic-level takedown, the numbers are staggering. Studies using force plates show elite wrestlers can generate upwards of 2,500 newtons, over 550 pounds of force in a single explosive shot. To put this in perspective, that's equivalent to the impact force of a 200-pound man moving at 15 miles per hour, enough to lift and slam a 250-pound opponent against their will, comparable to the force generated by professional boxers in their hardest punches. But raw power alone doesn't explain their effectiveness. The true genius lies in their kinetic chain sequencing. The initial penetration step converts horizontal momentum into vertical lift. Hip extension adds explosive power from the body's strongest muscles. Upper body control finishes with precise directional force. Chain wrestling represents perhaps the most mentally exhausting aspect of facing an Olympic-level opponent. Their offensive systems operate like a grappling supercomputer running through endless permutations. Level change feints to disrupt defensive timing. Shot combinations flowing between double legs, single legs, and high crotches. Continuous reattacks that exploit micro moments of imbalance. Misdirection setups that bait reactions they've trained years to counter. This creates what sports scientists call decision fatigue, where defenders eventually make mistakes simply from mental exhaustion. Former NCAA champion Ben Askren famously described wrestling as physical chess, where your opponent gets to move twice as many pieces. While wrestling lacks striking, the cumulative damage from elite-level takedowns is very real. Whiplash effect on the neck and spine from sudden directional changes. Compression injuries from landing with an opponent's full weight. Shot shock, the neurological impact of sudden unexpected impacts. Oxygen debt from explosive energy expenditure. MMA veterans like Josh Barnett have described wrestling exchanges as getting into multiple car crashes in 5 minutes. The legendary Randy Couture once knocked out an opponent purely from the impact of a takedown against the cage. What separates Olympic wrestlers from other grapplers is their systematic approach to positional dominance. Their top game operates on several key principles. Weight distribution, placing 70% of their mass on the opponent's diaphragm. Cross-face pressure, using the shoulder to disrupt spinal alignment. Hip wedging, preventing any space creation for escapes. Ride systems, complex sequences like the spiral ride or leg Turk that progressively drain energy. Studies of collegiate wrestling matches show that athletes in top position experience 22% lower heart rate than the bottom athlete, 35% less oxygen consumption, ability to maintain control for average of 90 seconds before positional reset. The early UFC era provides the clearest case study for wrestling's effectiveness. Mark Coleman's 1996 to 1997 run demonstrated several key advantages. Takedown accuracy of 89% against BJJ black belts, average of 4.2 takedowns per 10-minute fight, 100% success rate in maintaining top position once achieved. This era revealed critical gaps in traditional BJJ. Guard pulling without setups was easily countered. Lack of wrestling style hand fighting made takedowns inevitable. No systematic approach to defending against chain wrestling. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu's true genius lies in its philosophical approach to combat, the concept that technique and leverage can overcome size and strength. This manifests in several key areas. Modern BJJ has developed sophisticated guard retention systems, framing theory, using skeletal structure rather than muscle to create space, Hip escape mechanics, the shrimp movement that generates maximum distance with minimum energy. Reguarding algorithms, systematic approaches to recovering guard from any position. Studies of elite BJJ competitors show average of 3.2 guard recovery attempts per minute when on bottom. 68% success rate in preventing pass completion against elite passers. Ability to maintain guard for average of 2.5 minutes against relentless pressure. BJJ's submission game operates on principles of anatomical manipulation. Joint locks that attack the weakest range of motion, chokes that exploit vascular and airway vulnerabilities, positional controls that create unavoidable submission opportunities. The modern leg lock revolution has particularly exploited wrestling's defensive gaps. Heel hooks attack the knee's rotational vulnerability. Knee bars exploit hyperextension limits. Toe holds target the foot's limited torsion capacity. Fabricio Werdum's 2010 victory over Fedor Emelianenko demonstrated the danger of entering a BJJ specialist's guard unprepared, how submission threats can neutralize wrestling dominance, the psychological effect of submission danger on wrestling aggression. ADCC competition statistics reveal BJJ specialists have 63% submission rate against pure wrestlers. 82% of these submissions occur after the 5-minute mark. Leg locks account for 41% of all submissions against wrestlers. Modern grappling has seen the rise of hybrid athletes who blend both arts. Wrestlers developing submission defense and guard passing. BJJ practitioners incorporating wrestling takedowns and top pressure. The emergence of positional submission strategies that bridge both worlds. This evolution suggests that while each art has distinct advantages, the future belongs to those who can synthesize the strengths of both systems into a complete grappling methodology. So, let's simulate this fight step by step. The wrestler's path to victory begins with their most devastating weapon, the blast double leg takedown. This isn't just a tackle, it's a biomechanical missile designed to erase space and impose dominance. The wrestler's lead leg drives forward like a piston, covering 6 to 8 feet in under a second, closing the distance before the BJJ fighter can react. Their hips drop explosively, lowering their center of gravity while maintaining forward momentum, a 40 to 50 degree angle of attack that prevents sprawls. Once secured, the wrestler's legs extend violently, generating upwards of 2,500 newtons of force, lifting the BJJ fighter completely off the mat before driving them into the ground. In UFC 10, Mark Coleman used this exact sequence to demolish BJJ black belts. His takedowns were so brutal that opponents often lose their sense of direction upon impact, leaving them vulnerable to follow-up control. Once the wrestler secures top position, the real torture begins. This isn't just holding someone down. It's systematic pressure warfare. The wrestler glues their sternum to the BJJ fighter's diaphragm, reducing lung capacity by 30 to 40%, making every breath a struggle. A heavy shoulder digs into the jaw, disrupting posture, while their hands deny all framing attempts, preventing guard recovery. Techniques like the spiral ride, leg turk, and near-fall tilts drain energy, forcing the BJJ fighter to carry the wrestler's weight while constantly readjusting. Studies show that bottom fighters under elite wrestling pressure experience heart rates 20 to 30 beats per minute higher than the top wrestler, blood lactate levels spiking 2 times faster, accelerating fatigue, cognitive decline after 90 seconds due to oxygen deprivation. If the BJJ fighter can't threaten submissions or create space, the wrestler's path to victory becomes inevitable. In pure grappling rules, the wrestler racks up points via takedowns, rides, and near falls. The constant grinding breaks the opponent's will. Many BJJ fighters mentally quit before physically tapping. Without submissions, the wrestler either wins on points or the BJJ fighter succumbs to exhaustion. A 2021 study in the Journal of Combat Sports found that 70% of matches where the wrestler secures top control in the first minute result in dominant wins, either by points, referee decision, or opponent withdrawal. The BJJ fighter's entire game hinges on weathering the initial storm. If they can avoid being planted on their back, the odds shift dramatically. Some BJJ specialists bypass wrestling entirely, sitting to guard immediately to negate takedowns. If caught in a shot, elite BJJ fighters use hip escapes, shrimping, and forearm frames to prevent flattening. Advanced grapplers use momentum reversals like the Granby roll to instantly recover guard or return to standing. In ADCC 2017, Gordon Ryan faced an Olympic-level wrestler. Instead of engaging standing, he pulled guard instantly, avoiding the takedown battle and forcing the fight into his world. Once the fight hits the mat, the BJJ black belt's real work begins. Their guard isn't defensive, it's a trap waiting to spring. The BJJ fighter locks their legs around the wrestler's torso, limiting hip movement and preventing passes. Techniques like the scissor sweep, flower sweep, or pendulum sweep force the wrestler to defend rather than attack. The BJJ fighter lures the wrestler's arms or legs into vulnerable positions, setting up submissions. Most wrestlers have near zero experience fighting off their back or defending submissions. Once entangled, their posture gets broken, their limbs get trapped. They panic under unfamiliar pressure. The moment the wrestler makes one defensive error, the BJJ fighter capitalizes with fight-ending submissions. If the wrestler postures up too high, their arm or neck gets caught. If they base too wide, their shoulders become targets. If they kneel recklessly, their ankles and knees are in danger. In submission grappling matches lasting longer than 5 minutes, BJJ fighters secure 65% of their submissions, proving that the longer the fight goes, the more dangerous they become. Who do you think wins in this scenario? Want more brutal fight breakdowns? Smash that subscribe button or I'll heel hook you into doing it. The wrestler's explosive power and top control decide 70% of matches in this phase. If the BJJ fighter cannot stop the initial takedown, their chances plummet. Wrestlers gas faster under constant submission threats. The BJJ fighter's repetitive attacks eventually find an opening. Modern elite grapplers like Khabib Nurmagomedov or Nicky Rod blend wrestling's takedowns with BJJ's submissions, proving that the ultimate grappler masters both. After analyzing decades of fights, biomechanics, and statistics, the truth is clear. Overwhelm early with violent takedowns and soul-crushing top pressure. Survive the storm, extend the fight, and hunt submissions in deep water. The BJJ black belt's submission arsenal gives them a slight edge, but only if they survive the wrestler's hellish opening onslaught. One mistake, one lapse in defense, that's all it takes.